So I was like, clothesline? I was like, it was how stupid is that? Like, I mean, like, everybody throws a clothesline. But, I mean, back then it wasn't as lame as it is, as lame as the answer was, it wasn't as lame as if I would have said it today, because back then not everybody threw 85,000 clotheslines, you know. But back then it was still kind of lame, so they go, well, you've kind of seen that. I go, off the second. No, I'm scared shitless, so I'm just thinking that, you know, as fast as I can. They go, well, okay. So they gave me some jobber, Keith Eric, and said, go 4 minutes. Couldn't have gone more than a minute before I forgot everything I'd ever learned. Just, you know, just terrified, petrified. They beat them 1, 2, 3. They didn't know whether I was any good or not still at this point. So then that night, we had to work at the job back in Nashville and work at the fairgrounds. And they put me and Jimmy Jack Funk in a 10-minute Broadway, you know, to see what I could do. And, you know, you can say what you want about Jesse, but Jesse was a good worker, you know what I mean?
Jesse Barr, right?
Yeah, Jesse Barr. And they carried me, man. People thought, hey, this guy's pretty good. We went 10-minute Broadway, man. Like, I remember him giving me the Iggy, you know, for me to reverse, and I had no idea what that means. You know, like, Larry really didn't prepare me, you know. Like, he didn't tell me what Carney, he didn't tell me, you know, a lot of stuff, you know. But I guess it's probably better to learn on the road the way I did instead of coming in like I knew it all, you know, because I didn't know a clue. And so we had a pretty good match. I thought, hey, this kid's pretty good. The next night they stuck me with these guys, the Zebra Warriors, which were these 5'7" guys with masks, with a mohawk hair sticking out of the mask. They were kind of cool. And we stunk out the joint. I mean, just absolutely abysmal. And so they thought he's going to be a jobber. So I was like a jobber for like a couple months. But like literally within like, at that point, I think me and Tom Brady were really good friends back then. And Tom had never gone anywhere, even though back then he was really good, you know, especially for an indie guy. And I was like, come on, you got to come down, man. This is cool. He's like, all right, I'll come down. So they brought him down. And, you know, so me and Marty were running together, me and Tom would. And it was having a really good time, but now they just job me every night. And after about 3-4 weeks, I kind of like, I got my bearings, and I knew, and they bring in these guys, these old-timers who were just atrocious that, you know, made me, like, my first match was better than these guys are 10 years down, you know, after their career, you know. And so now I was getting pretty bummed out, because now I think, even though I came in expecting to be a jobber, now I'm like, this is bullshit that I'm a jobber, because these guys suck. You know, I mean, it's not that I was that great, but they sucked far worse. And, I mean, so I really wasn't that good yet, but they sucked incredibly. And actually, it's kind of cool, too, like, when I was there, the Harris boys were there. They just came in because Sawyer Brown got on that deal with them. Scott Steiner came in like a month later. Yokozuna and Big Sammy were there. They left like a month afterwards because the payoff sucked. So it's kind of cool. Like now, me and the Harris boys are back in the same locker room.
Like 87, 88? Or...
Yeah, February 20th of 88 I came in. I'd always thought it was February 17th. And then when I went back to Memphis to work with the developmental guys one time, you know, me and Lawler had talked about a bunch of different, you know, me and Lawler always got along really well, even though he kind of healed on me in his book, but it's a whole other thing. But they always got along really well, because I've always been a big King fan, you know, and he goes, you know what, I just happened to have with me the booking from that time when you were here. Like, you know, I think he said he was giving it to Randy Hales because Randy wanted it, but I mean, I'm sure he brought it for me, because why else would he have the exact month that I started my career there? So it's kind of cool. So, you know, I was looking through the book, and it was February 20th that I actually started in Memphis, and you know, but it's kind of cool just to see like that page of history, you know, and yes, it's all these guys. So now it's kind of cool. So now me and the Harris boys are back in the same locker room where, you know, where we all started, which is just bizarre. You know, we've been all around the business, hardly ever working at the same place, same time, and now we start together. And now here we are back at the end of the thing, and so after all this time, so now after about 2-3 months, yeah, I really thought they should use me. You know what I mean? I thought I was getting, coming along pretty good, and instead they let me go, which would be a recurring theme in my career. But I think I'm better than I am, and apparently they don't. But they let me go, and after some ridiculous angle where which I hate this angle, but I don't hate it now. I used to hate it then because it was humiliating then, but now since I've been in the business, like, it's not humiliating at all. It's just the business. But there was a deal where Missy Hyatt goes to me, because her and Eddie were there together. She's like, if you can beat the King, she goes, if you can beat the King, I'll go out on a date with you. I'm like, all right. So of course, you know, I know I'm going to get beat by the King, but I go to Missy, I'm like, wow, this is cool. I guess they're going to start using me now. You know, and she rubs in my face, you know, constantly, because you know, that was they let me go. King beats me, she slaps me. Because I go, can I still have the date? She's like, of course not. Slaps me. They go, all right, you get your 2-week notice. You know, so here I am thinking I'm going to get a push, and now I'm just crushed. And but luckily, because Florida was restarting their territory, and Gordon Solie and Mike Graham and Steve Kearn had been coming around. Like, Mike took an interest in me, and like, it's always been kind of weird, like, certain people have always, like, really dug my talent, and certain people just never got me, you know what I mean, no matter what character I was portraying, and Mike always dug me, so Mike brought me in, and thought he had a good place for, you know, because they were using me as a babyface there. Thought there was a good place for me as a smart-ass heel, you know? So they brought me in, and we weren't running very much because they were just starting back up. But I think we were making $50 a night. We'd run like 2-3 nights a week. One was a TV, and I was sharing a house, nice house, with Denny Brown and Luna. There's, you know, the three people you just, why are the three of us living together? It's just, you know, Dick Slater would come by every so often because him and Luna were together, and it was just an interesting time.
What were like some of the main things that you learned back then in Florida?
Well, you know, it's kind of, Mike Graham taught me something I didn't get at the time. Like, doing something, don't just do something to do it, make it mean something. Put it in a match, you know, put it in there for a reason. If you want to do a plunge over the top rope, instead of just diving over the top rope, just dive over it. Set up a spot where the guy keeps trying to get away from you. So now when you dive over and you get him, there's a reason for why you did it, instead of just, hey, let's just do a cool spot. You know what I mean? You know, I couldn't see the forest through the trees at that point. I mean, why would I? I only worked it 3 months. Like, I don't count the 9 months of me trying to get booked as working. Like, I consider my career starting February 20th, '88, when I started in Memphis. You know, I started full time. And working, yeah, it was great. I mean, they put me in a nice spot. They let me commentate with Gordon Solie, which was like a dream come true, you know what I mean? And I used to always insult Coach John Heath. He wanted to stretch me for real. Like, he hated the fact I would just be like, Coach, are you still alive over there? And he looked like he was dead. But he supposedly was like some 65-year-old Masters, you know, Greco-Roman wrestling champion. He probably would have stretched me and killed me, but he didn't. But it was a strange time because I didn't get along with a lot of the boys in the locker room. It was a really fucked up locker room. Brett Sawyer was there. He was a complete piece of shit, who I will beat the fuck out of if I ever see again. The Nasty Boys who we didn't get along with at all, but we do now. You know, it's also a lot of guys. I'm a smart ass, you know, and I come from, when I was at home, you know, bouncing in clubs and in college, I was like, you know, top guy. You know, and then coming to business and be bottom guy, it's kind of a weird transference, you know, a weird reversal. And it took me a long time to realize that you can't behave here the way you behave there until you've earned it, you know. And then once you earn it, you get away with just the most horrid nonsense, you know, which, unfortunately, I was guilty of as well later on. But
All right, and then from, how'd you end up in Portland?
let me think. So I'm in Florida, and, this is actually that's a good story, too, how I lost my Florida gig. They always put me over. They had me take a count out. They never beat me, right? And and I've only been working. I was there. So I was in Memphis for 2.5 months. Now 10 months here. So about a year full time. You know, only a year in the business. And this is what shows you what the business does to everybody. First Fame will do to anybody anywhere. It wasn't even airing in my hometown. This show. The show rarely aired anywhere in Florida. But they never beat me. So Kurt comes up to me and goes, "All right, listen." He goes, "I'm going to need you to put me over." I'm thinking, well, you know, you guys never beat me before, you know, why are you beating me now, you know what I mean?
Who's that?
Steve Kearn, he was one of the owners of Mike Graham. And I'm like, well, yeah, you guys really need me to? You know, like, I didn't want to do a job, you know, I mean, I never said no. I mean, I was never that retarded. But I hemmed and hawed and, you know, and they're like, all right, don't do it then, don't worry about it. And then next day they go, we're letting you go. And Mike called me in the office and we're letting you go, which I go, you know, you have to let me go. I go, that was 20 minutes after, or 10 minutes after I walked away from Steve, I realized what a complete asinine thing that is. But it's amazing, and it gave me kind of an insight into other people, that you get that little taste of fame, and it goes right to your head, you know what I mean?